A Utah man killed in a plane crash at the Provo airport.
I've flown in the co-pilot seat many times with him. There's no one better.
Tonight, what one friend says about his life and his legacy.
An NFL player collapsed in a game last night and tonight is fighting for his life.
You do worry about those guys that are out there.
A group of tight-knit Buffalo Bills fans here in Utah say this tragedy hits close to home.
Honestly, it brought back some memories.
A former Utah State basketball player remembers when he too suffered cardiac arrest. What he says saved his life.
Tracking a break between storms, but a large system makes its way to the region. What you can expect coming up.
A Utah community is rattled tonight after a series of earthquakes. How many have been recorded since yesterday?
Blessed and grateful.
And scary moments for a Utah family after a little boy nearly drowned in a hotel pool. How he was rescued. Coming up.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
The city of Provo has identified the man who died in a jet crash at the Provo airport yesterday. 62-year-old Nathan Ricks of Alpine died on the runway. Ricks was piloting the plane with 3 passengers on board, headed for the Rose Bowl.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser has details on his major influence in Utah and around the world.
I spoke to one of Nathan Ricks' best friends who says he was a brother both professionally and personally. He inspired thousands of people across the world, but his heart was here in Utah with his wife, 4 daughters, and 15 grandchildren.
Nathan Ricks was a man who planned his life backwards.
What do I look like at 90? What have I achieved? What is my family like? What is my net worth? What kind of person am I? What kind of impact have I had?
Jeff Mack has known him for 35 years. The two grew together as friends and business partners.
If I had written my goals and I'm here, I'd check with Nate. His goals were here.
Ricks was a leader in development and marketing. He was also Nu Skin's top distributor. His speeches resonated with thousands across the globe.
He will share, his expertise, but at the same time, he was somebody approachable.
He became a dear friend to many of us long after he could have just been a legend from afar.
His mentees in his business community are in complete shock. Ricks died in a jet crash at the Provo airport Monday afternoon.
I've flown in the co-pilot seat many times with him. There's no one better.
The co-pilot on this flight, 51-year-old Brent Beardall, is in critical condition at a Utah County hospital. The other passengers, Dane Margetts and Rick's wife, Joyce, walked away with minor injuries.
We were there with her today, and she's just dialed in. She's got her family around her, and she's handling it as well as anyone can handle it.
Mack calls Ricks a legend, his success undeniable. But there's no greater success than a life full of family and friendship.
He was there when I lost my son 8 years ago. And when you're so exposed like that, that you're so broken that there's no repair, and someone's there beside you, having your back, that's a brother.
The FAA and the NTSB are here still investigating what caused the jet to crash. All flights are still canceled, and the airport predicts they'll open back up no sooner than Thursday morning. Reporting at the Provo airport, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Nathan's family did release a statement today, writing in part that Ricks, quote, loved Utah and was all in on making it a better place. They said he was a, quote, believer in new beginnings and saw more in people than they often saw in themselves. We will love and miss him for a time while we put faith in the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Nu Skin also sent Fox 13 a statement saying that, quote, although Nathan retired from the company several years ago, his influence continues to be felt by Nu Skin teams around the world. He touched countless lives as he played a key role in the company's global expansion. The company is extending love and condolences to his family during this difficult time.
Today, football fans across the nation continued to show support for Damar Hamlin. Buffalo Bills safety suffered cardiac arrest during a play during last night's Monday night football game against the Cincinnati Bengals. The 24-year-old needed CPR on the field and remains in critical condition tonight.
This is a human being who has a family, and their well-being, his well-being is what's most important.
The league paused the game between the Bills and the Bengals after Hamlin's injury and ultimately postponed the game. Today, officials said there are no plans to finish the game this week.
Meantime, local Bills fans are sending their love to Buffalo Bills fans from 1,000 miles away.
Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree spoke with a few of them tonight as this situation continues to weigh heavily on their hearts and minds.
It just was heartbroken, not only for our players, but the Buffalo community.
Watching Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapse on the field Monday night was terrifying for the Salt Lake City Bills backers.
The game of football is kind of violent, but it's everybody loves it, but you do worry about those guys that are out there putting themselves in harm's way just to play a sport.
From a mass shooting at a grocery store in May to a winter storm just last week that killed dozens, the local fans say Buffalo has suffered one tragedy after another, and their hearts go out to the city of good neighbors.
It's like a movement. It's a family. We always say mafia means family.
Every time their team plays, the Salt Lake City Bills backers meet at the Brickyard Bar in Mill Creek to watch the game together. The group has the entire basement reserved so they can fit dozens of local fans.
We're up to over 100 people that are showing up to watch a football game together. And there's, that team is 1,000 miles away.
The Bills backers are thrilled their team has been playing so well this season. But the biggest thing on their minds and in their hearts right now is seeing Hamlin recover.
The team will be fine. They're strong. They'll win. They'll make them work harder to win for him.
In Mill Creek, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The frantic moments at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati last night hit home for former Utah State University basketball player Daniel Berger. He remembers when he collapsed on the court in 2013, also from cardiac arrest. Just like in Hamlin's case, crews used CPR and an automated external defibrillator to get his heart beating again. Berger says every minute counts in these situations and hopes people make sure to stay educated on how to help save a life.
The AED itself obviously is very important, but it's also the training and the constant thought of this is a possibility. It could happen to me, it could happen to somebody around me, and I need to have the skills and awareness to help somebody in that moment.
Berger says he is praying for Hamlin and his family and anyone who had to see that traumatic incident, as he knows it was tough for those who saw it happen to him.
Very dramatic. Listen to this. A cardiologist and professor at University of Utah Health we spoke with says 9 out of 10 people do not survive an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest like what happened to Berger and Hamlin. Dr. John Ryan says it is incredibly rare and has to happen in a window of a millisecond. But he says people, even healthy athletes, can experience many forms of cardiac arrest, which is why Dr. Ryan says it is so important to know how to help in these types of situations.
Be aware of the need to train as many of your loved ones in CPR as possible and to get people to do CPR early.
Stay with Fox 13 News as we continue to track the fallout of Damar Hamlin's injury. We'll keep you updated on air and online as we learn more.
The Utah Department of Transportation shared an update today on their proposed expansion of I-15 between Farmington and Salt Lake. During the Salt Lake City Council's work session, UDOT representatives shared details on their process for studying the environmental impact of expanding the freeway in that area. They also shared some alternative options, ways to provide feedback, and why they are asking for people to voice their opinions. UDOT is taking public comment on their website through January 13th.
Well, have you all dug out by now, hopefully? Are you still trying to? I know sometimes it's easier to do it in little sections. And with what we've seen, Allison, the past couple of days, the snow just kept wanting to come more and more.
I have nowhere to put new snow. We needed to stop. We needed to melt.
The drifts
Piles
4 or
of- yeah,
5
we've
feet
got
high.
It
piles
is
at our house.
crazy out there right now. Saw this picture today. I had to share it with you guys from our Facebook group. American Fort Canyon today. Thanks so much to Shanna for sharing this. Just spectacular. At 10 o'clock tonight, we'll expect temperatures to be around 25 to 30 degrees for much of the state into tomorrow morning. You shouldn't have too bad of a drive as you're heading out the door for your Wednesday morning. We'll have temps at 7 a.m. around 15 to 25 degrees here across much of the state. Now, you're maybe going to hear some headlines over the next couple of days about a very strong storm into California, major impacts for the Sierra Nevada, but we're going to be tracking for us here in Utah will be some remnants of that storm, but it's going to lose energy by the time that it gets to us. 38 tomorrow here in Salt Lake, partly cloudy sky. We do have the chance for some very light precipitation tomorrow, but that stronger storm, pretty good storm, arrives Thursday into Friday. More on that coming up.
A time and a trip saver after the holiday travel frenzy. We're showing you why travel insurance may be a vital part of your next destination.
He's got a legacy that'll live on forever.
A Utah man and innovator in the sport of rally car racing tragically lost his life in a snowmobile accident. How people close to Ken Block are remembering him tonight.
2 years old and he's a fighter.
And after a toddler nearly drowns at the Little America Hotel, his grandparents are expressing gratitude to the people who saved his life. How the little boy is doing tonight as he continues to recover.
It has been a whirlwind of a holiday travel season. Delayed and canceled flights, lost baggage, getting snowed in, travelers facing huge challenges.
That sounds miserable, doesn't it? And you're supposed to be on vacation.
Merry Christmas.
Would travel insurance have helped ease those people's troubles? Fox 13 News consumer investigative reporter Robin Oginye explains why you might want to consider travel insurance the next time you plan a trip.
When you're ready to book that ticket, pack your bags, and take off for your next getaway, you might want to consider travel insurance. You may recognize Charlie Luke, the former Salt Lake City councilman, talked to us about why he's more than happy to have purchased it before a big bucket list trip.
I ended up getting hurt in Costa Rica in a very rural part, had to be medevaced up to the capital. I stayed there for a couple of days.
A severed quadricep tendon put a halt to Charlie's adventures. An aspect of travel insurance many might not consider: what happens if you get hurt or fall ill while traveling?
The travel insurance and the travel agent made that entire process fly. I mean, it was seamless. That one slip and fall in the middle of, a very remote part of the world, I would have been stuck.
Karina Johnson, a travel agent with All Points Travel in Murray, says your health insurance coverage in the U.S. almost always will not cover you if you get sick or injured while traveling outside the country. But insurance is not just for medical emergencies. What if you have to cancel for other crises? Are all travel insurance plans created equal?
Not every insurance policy is the same. So whether or not you have a policy that allows you to cancel for any reason versus having a typical policy, which is meant for emergency type cancellations.
If you were one of the thousands who got stuck at an airport last year, certain travel insurance policies could cover a myriad of expenses.
But you also have extended stay, hotel nights, transfers, changing your airline tickets. All of those things come into play.
According to the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, pre-pandemic travel numbers between 2018 and 2020 show consumers spent $1.7 billion on various types of travel insurance products. If you don't know what types of insurance packages could be available to you, consider talking to a travel advisor, even if it's a trip you've taken before.
Not just for the information, say, about travel insurance, but the opportunity to buy their package and buy insurance policies that may not be available to them directly as a consumer.
Now, with the knee that's good as new, Charlie says learn from his experience so you won't be on the other side of it.
Always buy the insurance. even if you don't end up using it, if you need it, not having it is far worse than having it and not needing it.
I did find that there are some policy exclusions for travel insurance like pregnancy, pandemics, engaging in risky behavior like bungee jumping or snowboarding, and pre-existing health conditions. Now, if you want the flexibility to cancel your trip no matter the reason, those policies are called CFARs, cancel for any reason. You can receive at least a 50% refund as long as you cancel no less than 48 hours before the trip. In studio, Robin Oginye, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, Utah is known for its light, fluffy powder snow, and that's how we got that moniker, the greatest snow on earth.
Hey, it says it on the license plate. It's official.
That's right, and license plates don't lie.
We felt that powder before, but over the weekend, Allison, it was not our typical snow here in the state.
No, it sure wasn't. Take a look at this. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you maybe had some similar experiences over the weekend. We had a super dense, heavy snow, weighed down branches, snapped some trees in half, and even caused some power outages. So I reached out to an arborist today to see how often their company has to clean up from snowstorms like this one. And he told me that it's about every 6 years. And if you're planning on cleaning up for yourself, he has some very important tips.
If a branch comes down, it's in your yard. Please be safe, wear the proper PPE. Chainsaw chaps are going to protect your legs. We're bending over, using that chainsaw. Something happens, it hits your leg. Chainsaws are not forgiving. So chainsaw chaps, having eye protection, ear protection, and a helmet. If one branch came down, that means that there's a potential for something else to come down. And if you're working in that area, have a hard hat on.
All good tips. Now, that was Hampton from Clean Cuts Trees in Layton. But he does say the best thing that you can do is hire a certified arborist because it can be very dangerous, especially if there's power lines involved. You don't want to be doing that on your own. But I thought that was a really good tip. If one branch has come down, there's a chance that others. So make sure that you are using extreme caution. So that wasn't the best news. I do have a little bit of good news for you, though. Great tips. Thanks so much for Hampton for taking my Zoom call today. And another thing that got updated today that I wanted to share with you, and I think many of you will be very excited to hear about this, our seasonal drought outlook for January, February, and March is full of good news for us here across the Beehive State. Take a look at your screen right now. This light beige that you're seeing, that is improvement. We are excited to improve our drought across almost the entire state. Now, this more greenish kind of color that you're seeing right here, this greenish brown color, that is drought that's expected to end up into southwest Wyoming, down towards Moab, and for portions of southwest Utah. So this is an updated seasonal drought outlook. They're saying that the reason that the CPC decided to update this to such good news for us here across the West is because of how active our pattern is going to be this month. We've got the atmospheric river still impacting California over the next couple of days, and we're going to tap into some more of that moisture heading into Thursday and Friday. For Salt Lake right now, it's 31 degrees, 31 for Ogden, 28 degrees currently in Provo. Temperatures today made it to 37, so very close to a normal high for this time of year. Now this morning we did drop into the mid to low 20s, and that was below average by a little more than 5 degrees. Right now it's 31 degrees here in Salt Lake City, 27 for Manti, 28 in Provo, 27 for the Cache Valley, and for St. George right now, 37 degrees. We are seeing partly cloudy sky here across the region. Still the chance for some light precipitation tomorrow, but nothing terribly widespread. Our next widespread storm heading into later in the week will be late Thursday into Friday. For tonight here in Salt Lake, as I mentioned, the chance for a few flurries out there still into tomorrow also. Temperatures very similar to this morning, mid-20s when you're waking up tomorrow morning, with overnight temps here across the state, 7 a.m. tomorrow, about 20 to 25 degrees for much of Utah. So as we're looking at the forecast throughout the day tomorrow for the Wasatch Front, you can expect mid-20s early in the day, mostly cloudy sky. Could become partly cloudy at times with temperatures very close to average for a daytime high. But as we look at futurecast here over the next couple of days, all eyes on California with that Pineapple Express bringing torrential rainfall, potentially lots of mudslides, flooding, very strong winds for Northern California. So we're going to see a lot of precipitation, especially for the Sierra Nevada, as we head into the next couple of days. Now, a lot of that is going to lose energy by the time that it gets to Utah, but we're going to see some elevated chances for rain and snow Thursday into Friday. St. George 46 tomorrow, 50 on Thursday, close to 50 this weekend. Chance for some rain Thursday into Friday for St. George, and for tomorrow, some isolated rain possible. Salt Lake 38 tomorrow, 44 on Thursday. Chance for some rain and snow Thursday and Friday. More on that coming up.
The first day of the 118th Congress ended with no winner in the House Speaker election. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll give you a closer look at what happened and who's picking up the votes coming up.
Republicans have taken over the House of Representatives, but there is still no GOP House Speaker. The party can't agree on who should hold the gavel.
Now, all 4 Utah congressmen supported Kevin McCarthy in their vote, but it was unsuccessful. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has a closer look at where things stand tonight.
Kevin McCarthy needs a majority of votes with his name on it, but now rounds into voting, and his grip on the party is starting to slip. Patiently and then not. Newly elected representatives and their families waited through 3 rounds of votes for the Speaker of the House. Instead, the 118th House of Representatives adjourning Tuesday evening with no winner of the gavel and no one taking the oath of office.
I have the record for the longest speech ever on the floor. I don't have a problem getting a record for the most votes for Speaker, too.
The Republican Party's messy infighting spilling over.
The Republican dysfunction is what it is: chaos, crisis, and confusion, along with craziness.
Even the House clerks that have to tally all 434 votes each round started to grow weary.
My hand's starting to cramp.
A small group of Republicans say Kevin McCarthy is too close to the establishment.
If you want to drain the swamp, you cannot put the biggest alligator in charge of the exercise. I'm a Florida man and I know of what I speak.
In the first 2 rounds, 19 Republicans voted for someone other than McCarthy. In the third, 20 Republicans had jumped ship, rallying around Ohio's Jim Jordan, who himself supports McCarthy.
If you can't close this deal, at what point do members start looking elsewhere?
The House will return at noon Eastern on Wednesday to vote for a 4th time. What's unclear is if McCarthy will have been able to sway any votes by then. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We thought what we were coming to a tragedy turned into a series of miracles.
After a toddler nearly drowned at a hotel in downtown, his family says he's doing better.
Ken was out here racing door to door with guys from Europe and all over the world.
The racing community remembering a man they say was a pioneer for the sport.
It's a huge loss for the community, for the state, for the the industry.
Investigators are trying to figure out why a tree fell on a ski lift, killing an employee. We'll tell you about the rules designed to keep this from happening.
A toddler almost drowned at the Little America Hotel in downtown Salt Lake yesterday, but tonight his family says he is getting better.
Thankfully. Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi spoke to his grandparents who remain by his side at Primary Children's Hospital.
Blessed and grateful.
A family coping with what could have been a tragedy.
2 years old and he's a fighter.
Little Dawson almost drowned.
Been a tough 18 hours.
He is getting better.
He is intubated, but he is doing very well considering what should have happened. So again, it is a miracle that he's still with us. So he was unconscious for about
a minute and a half.
A minute and a half. So he was in the water for a little longer than that. So it was, we're grateful for the miracles.
Dawson's family was at the Little America Hotel in downtown Salt Lake on Monday, and as they were getting ready to leave around 6:30 p.m.
The little one just got away from him. He's not scared of things and just jumped in the water. So it can happen very quickly. So, yeah.
His grandparents, Jason and Cheryl, tell me 2 teenagers pulled Dawson out of the water and did CPR to help save his life.
Yeah, they were swimming and just getting out of the pool, and they were right there at the right time in the right place.
With more people coming to the rescue.
The Little America staff was there 2 minutes later, and they went to work, and the paramedics team. And we thought what we were coming to a tragedy turned into a series of miracles. So
They say they are thankful to see the goodness around them and for the outpouring of love from the community during this difficult time.
So grateful to not only those folks that we will never meet, but to all the prayers who've gone out to our family and to the staff and doctors here at Primary Children's. We just want to say thank you, and we are so grateful.
Jason and Cheryl say they'd like to meet the bystanders who saved their grandson before first responders were on scene so they can thank them in person for rescuing their boy. In Salt Lake City, I am Maitili Gobi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
What a story. Cache County is starting the new year with a series of earthquakes. The biggest happened earlier this afternoon. The U.S. Geological Survey says the 3.2 magnitude quake hit around 2:45 p.m. near Benson. That's just a few miles from Logan. Then another smaller quake happened soon after at 3:36 p.m.
When we feel these little earthquakes, they're kind of just these little reminders that we need to make sure that we're ready for a big earthquake, that we know or can expect what's going to happen, that in the event of a big earthquake, we're going to lose power, we're going to lose water and wastewater.
Professor Cox there says while smaller quakes are expected in Cache Valley and near active faults, Utah has as much as 5.5 times more unreinforced infrastructure than the entire state of California.
A 19-year-old motorcyclist is accused of going 139 miles an hour on the Southern Parkway in St. George yesterday. A Utah Highway Patrol trooper says he clocked Dason Janda at 139 yesterday afternoon and tried to pull him over, but he kept going. A UHP helicopter tracked him down to Washington City, where he was arrested on suspicion of reckless driving and failure to stop. UHP says Janda only has a learner's permit, and the Ducati bike belonged to his father.
A businessman, YouTube star, and a lover of extreme sports. Just some of the ways Ken Block has been described after his death in a snowmobile accident in Wasatch County yesterday.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with those who say Block was a pioneer in the sport of rally car racing.
He's got a legacy that'll live on forever.
Ken Block wore many hats, co-founder of DC Shoes and Hoonigan Racing, as well as professional rally car driver.
It was one of their many playgrounds and some of the crazy extreme things that they did, and to know that, we'll no longer see him out here, it's a sad day for sure.
Dixon Hunt is the general manager of the Utah Motorsports Campus, a place he says Block came to several times a year and even raced at on more than one occasion.
We hosted Nitro World Games for 3 years. And Ken was out here racing door to door with guys from Europe and all over the world. He's got this 90-foot jump over here. It's very technical.
It's this track that Hunt says was a brainchild of American professional motorsports competitor and stunt performer Travis Pastrana, with the help of his friend Block.
They wanted to build a series that was just fun, that was rallycross, that was, this track when it was built was called the best rallycross track in the world.
The Wasatch County Sheriff's Office says Block died in a snowmobiling accident around 2 o'clock Monday afternoon in the Mill Hollow area of the county. They say the 55-year-old action sports enthusiast was riding on a steep slope when the snowmobile flipped and landed on him. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
He was a larger-than-life person.
Well, Block's rally car racing career, which started in 2005, was filled with plenty of highs, including Rookie of the Year honors and winning 5 X Game medals. It's who he was as a husband and father.
He was teaching his kids go-karting and drifting. His wife was out here learning how to drift.
As well as a person in general that may be best remembered.
He would take time to meet his fans. He had a huge following from his Gymkhana days and rallycross and all the other things he's done. And so he was a very, very approachable guy. It's a big loss for the community, the state, the industry as a whole.
Now, while the news of Block's death is still very fresh in the minds of many, Hunt says that they do plan to honor and commemorate what he did for the sport here sometime later this year. In Grantsville, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, coming up, we have new details about a deadly accident at Park City Mountain Resort where a tree fell on a chairlift, causing an employee to fall off the lift.
And coming up tomorrow, still the chance for some light precipitation, but it sure was a beautiful day in Midway. More on the timing of our next storm coming up.
We've now learned the Park City Mountain Resort employee who died yesterday when a tree fell on a ski lift was a 29-year-old man from Mill Creek.
A Summit County Sheriff's spokesman says tomorrow the office will release his name.
Meanwhile, Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle explains the rules for ski lifts and trees and who is examining what happened.
My 19 plus years of law enforcement, I've never heard of something like this happening, at least here in Summit County.
Summit County Sheriff's Captain Andrew Wright spent Tuesday learning about what killed an employee on the Canyons Village side of Park City Mountain Resort.
A large pine tree fell onto the chairlift itself, the cable, which caused some oscillating of the chair itself. Unfortunately, there was a male that we now understand is an employee of Vail Resorts, was on the ski patrol team. Unfortunately, he fell out of the chair a pretty significant distance.
Wright says other patrollers skied into the chest-deep snow to help their comrade, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. A spokeswoman for the resort and its owner, Vail, said company policy requires employees restrain themselves by lowering the safety bar when riding the lifts. Wright said investigators are trying to determine if the bar was down in Monday's accident.
The accident happened up that mountain on a lift called Shortcut about 10:45 a.m. Monday. Investigators are still trying to figure out why the tree fell.
As Fox 13 News reported last year, ski lifts in Utah are regulated by a division of the Utah Department of Transportation.
That ski lifts should have a 5-foot clearance around them when they're operating from vegetation, tree branches, trees, anything of that sort.
But, said Robert Miles, Director of Traffic and Safety at UDOT, the standards say only trees that are dying or look as if they are about to fall need to be cleared.
During an inspection, that would be noted, and it would be their responsibility to resolve that issue.
Of course, we've had a lot of snow over the last several days. There could be several factors that cause that tree to fall. Our focus obviously is on the death itself, as unfortunate and tragic as it is, and to bring closure to the family.
Besides UDOT and the Sheriff's Office, the Utah Office of Occupational Safety and Health confirmed today that it too will investigate what is a workplace death. In Park City, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead, there is a renewed push for a gondola in Little Cottonwood Canyon, why some leaders are still against it, and what UTA says is causing the bus issues.
And later in sports, with the Rose Bowl behind us, it's time to keep our eyes glued on Cam Rising and that injured leg as a decision looms. Plus Tuesday hoops, including the Jazz Note with a key matchup at home to build some momentum again. It was a crazy finish. Back in a bit.
It'll be great to have some of these new voices on the council, and I'm looking forward to getting to know them better.
Today was a historic day for Salt Lake County. The county council is now made up of a majority of women. At today's inauguration, there was a standing ovation to honor retired Salt Lake County Clerk Sherry Swenson. She is believed to be Utah's longest-serving female elected leader, 32 years in office. She thanked voters in Salt Lake County for their support.
A long history there. Also at the Salt Lake County Council today, the Little Cottonwood Canyon gondola debate. It is back with bumper-to-bumper traffic in the canyons over the past week and ski buses unable to pack everyone in. Some state lawmakers have been renewing a push for the gondola. Salt Lake County leaders are resisting, however, those calls.
But a couple of days of challenge does not justify to me what will be $1 billion investment that isn't flexible. We need that flexibility. We're working with UTA and others right now to address the shortage of busing this season.
The Utah Transit Authority says it is unable to provide extra service because of a lack of bus drivers.
A Utah barber shop says it is being pushed out of Fashion Place Mall to make room for another store. Barber League has been leasing a 700-square-foot space at Fashion Place Mall since 2020. On December 1st, they were notified their lease would not be renewed after 2022. Owner Matthew Campbell and customers such as Kathy Phelps say they are disappointed in Fashion Place Mall's decision not to renew Barber League's lease.
I was blindsided. I mean, we're definitely one of the most profitable stores, shops in the mall per square foot. We have the smallest store space, and we made the best of it and made a really awesome barbershop for everybody to love and use and enjoy.
If he leaves Fashion Place wherever he goes, we will be following, and so will our money.
Campbell says he was offered another larger space by the mall management, but text messages show that offer was rescinded. Fox 13 News reached out to Fashion Place Mall. They said that Barber League was operating under a temporary licensing agreement that expired at the end of 2022. They also say they do not comment on their lease renewal decision process. Now to a story that is positively Utah. A young girl from Leeds in Washington County and her pony Flash took on one of the most challenging rides in the western U.S.
They are quite the pair. The Tevis Cup, it's called, runs 100 miles in about a day. And Kyla Law was just 13 at the time when she broke a record, finishing the race with the smallest horse to ever do so. It caught the attention of the riding community and then an author who wrote a book about Kyla and Flash. It's called Racing Against Time. Now, she's going to be featured in a new documentary entitled Two Enduring Stories, which premieres next week in St. George. The Law family spoke to Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay earlier today.
What a child can do, what they can grow and develop into if they have the determination and desire to do so. So as a father, it's pure pride. It really is to see what she was able to accomplish.
But I'm sure you might have been a little nervous, at least a few times along the run.
Very nervous. You don't know where they're at. There are GPS trackers, but they rarely worked. So just never knew where they were, if they were going to get pulled, if a horse was going over a cliff, because that happens.
Oh, yikes. Scary. Kyla, though, she made it. She did the race with her mom, Natalie. The two rode together around their home in southern Utah, saying they put in thousands of miles, but the Tevis was the most beautiful. Kyla said she has always turned to her faith to get her through the challenges and encouraged others to set out to follow their dreams, saying you can do anything you try. For more information on their premiere, you can go to fox13now.com.
Well, right now, what we're tracking for you here across the state, some low visibility in eastern Utah over towards Roosevelt down to a quarter mile right now. So we do have a few areas of patchy, dense fog. But as we head into the next couple of days, we have some pretty big changes on the way. For tomorrow, the possibility of some light precipitation to move in, but a lot of that will stay into Nevada throughout the day. Then by later on Thursday, we're tracking areas of rain and snow. And depending on the intensity and how much we cool down, we could see that changing to snow by early on Friday. By Friday afternoon, we're tail end of that moves out for Saturday. And by later on Sunday, we still have some unsettled weather across the region. So an active pattern does continue. At 10 o'clock tonight, temperatures in the 20s across the state. By tomorrow at 7 a.m., still many of us right around 20 to 25 degrees. Single digits down into Bryce Canyon, cool, of course, up towards Evanston and in the mountains, but many of us in the 20s tomorrow morning. And then throughout the day, we're going to see that chance for some light precipitation, mainly into western Utah and Nevada. But as we're tracking this throughout the day, not going to rule out a few flurries or sprinkles here across the rest of the state. For St. George, 46 tomorrow, 50 on Thursday. So tomorrow, some isolated rain. Thursday, rain is likely. By Friday, some isolated morning rain is possible. Low 50s this weekend. Some more chances for rain next week. Now here in your Super 7-day forecast for tomorrow in Salt Lake, it'll be about 25 when you wake up, with highs tomorrow peaking in the upper 30s as we break down your forecast for tomorrow. By Thursday, it's going to become breezy with a high of 44 degrees with a scattered rain snow mix is a possibility, but wind will start to pick up during the second half of the day on Wednesday here across the state. By Friday, 41 degrees. We're tracking widespread areas of rain and snow. Let's go ahead and pause this for you first tomorrow at 5 p.m. as we have that chance for some rain and snow here across specifically western and southwestern Utah and Nevada. Then we really get things going later on Thursday into Friday as we tap into some of the atmospheric river that California is going to be getting the brunt of over the next couple of days. Saturday 40, 41 on Sunday. Then we head into next week, and our warmer than usual temperatures for this time of year are likely during week 2. This is the 11th of January through the 17th. So our temperature outlook after our 7-day forecast has above average temperatures and also above average precipitation for that same time frame. So again, keep in mind this is after our 7-day forecast. So middle of next week through the following week, we're likely going to have above average precipitation here in Utah, with more chances for rain starting next Tuesday.
4 days ago, the Jazz dropped a tough one by a single point in Sacramento. In fact, it was a tough week overall, with 4 straight losses coming by a combined grand total of just 13 points. Utah with another chance to end the skid tonight. This time with the Kings at home. Sacramento 2 games better than Utah in the Western Conference race, and they just owned the first 12 minutes. Domantas Sabonis with under a second left in the first. Lauri Markkanen chipping Utah back. He led the Jazz in scoring for the 5th consecutive game, 28 tonight, including 15 of 15 from the line. Then Malik Beasley to give the Jazz the lead after 3. But in the 4th, this Jordan Clarkson gamble on defense backfires. De'Aaron Fox going hammer with the left hand. Then get ready for a wild final sequence. Fox again, he matched a season high with 37, breaks a 115-all tie with a second left. Utah needs a prayer. Jared Vanderbilt launches for Markkanen, who catches and drains at the horn. Wow, we playing overtime? Actually not. As you can see, he got it off a hair too late. Another close loss, this time their 5th straight. Utah State making their Mountain West Conference road debut, enrolling Air Force in Colorado Springs. Somebody took their eyes off Trevin Dorius, the Heber City native, with the high percentage there. Then Z Hamada tickles a little twine on the pull-up. The lead was 21 in the second half. The Falcons got it to 7 in half two before USU pulls away. Taylor Funk leading that charge. The Aggies are now 13-2 on the season. Some rivalry high school hoops out of Region 6. Olympus and Brighton with 18 straight wins between them. The Titans up a dozen at the half. Matani Hinckley for the Bengals to start the 3rd there, but back comes Green. Little backdoor skip from Jordan Barnes to Zach Albert. Then same pair again. Albert with one of his 6 trifectas this time, 22 for him. The Olympus lead soon reaching 20+. Dutch Dowdell, he led all scorers with 29, as they have now won 12 in a row, all after losing their season opener. It almost felt like a double whammy last night at the Rose Bowl. A second consecutive defeat in Pasadena was heart-wrenching enough. And then you have the uncertainty surrounding the future of Cam Rising after he took this shot against Penn State, perhaps ending his career in Ute Red. He went down hard with a leg injury that sent him to the locker room. Deja vu as something similar happened against Ohio State in the Rose the year before. But this injury might be worse, as Rising will soon have a big decision to make concerning his future at the U. The NFL draft deadline is January 16th.
It doesn't look good, I can tell you that. We'll wait for confirmation from the medical people. At a later date could be something that takes a while to recover from. So that's not positive right now.
I would love him to come back, but at the end of the day, it's his journey. So he's gonna do what he want to do.
Breaks my heart. You know, he's such a warrior and such a fierce competitor. He'll be back. I can promise you that. You know, from the injury. Hopefully he's back with us. That's to be determined.
You know, more and more guys skip those bowl games to avoid those injuries.
Yeah.
Rising, well, you know, he's a tough guy. He gambled, and fortunately it backfired on him.
How old is he? What year is he in school?
He is a junior, so he's got another year of eligibility.
Okay.
So he's got a decision to make.
Come on, Cam.
All crossing our fingers.
Stay and get that degree and, you know, other things.
And come back and finally win a Rose
I hope
Bowl.
he's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that injury could be career-ending. Potentially.
I don't know if career-ending, but he could miss some time.
You'll let us know. Thanks, Morgan.
We'll be right back.
Thanks, everyone, for watching tonight.
QuickCast is up next.